Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. Today's video is going to feature us looking at three teams and talking about their draft classes. These are three teams that we think have had really good draft classes as of right now. Obviously, at this point of the season, we can start evaluating some rookies, seeing how guys have done, if people are reaches or steals. So let's start talking about this. It's going to be an interesting video.
Okay, I'm starting this time. You don't get to start every single video. Too bad. Oh my. I'll probably turn the volume down for that one.
Please.
All right. So I'm gonna start with the Colts. This is who I'm choosing. As who they've had a really particularly good draft class. Not just this year, but their GM has done a great job. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Jim Irsay?
Jim Irsay.
Is that?
I think that's his name.
Well, I think he's the owner. I think Chris Ballard's the GM.
Chris Ballard is the GM.
Yeah.
That's it. He's done a great job in general at these draft classes, and I'm just going to go through. We're starting with the round 2 pick because they did not have a first round pick. Did they trade out of that first?
With the Falcons, yeah. So the Falcons could reach for an offensive lineman again.
So they started with a round 2 pick, and with no first round pick, this is still a pretty good draft class. Round 2, Rock Ya-Sin, a guy that hasn't done much this year, but so far, but there's still a lot of potential for this guy. I mean, you gotta watch out for him. He was doing great things in college, and I think it's just important that you don't count this guy out yet.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I think you made a good point about how they did do a really good job in that draft class without having a first round pick. So they were already kind of up against themselves, but I feel like that was kind of why they traded, because they saw guys that would fall to the second round, like Rock Ya-Sin and some guys you're going to mention soon, who maybe they didn't have first round grades on, but then they said maybe we'll trade down and get more mid round picks and get some of these guys.
Yeah. Especially because this draft class, there was a lot of things that you would not expect. There were a lot of reaches, a lot of players.
Oh yeah.
From
the start.
You had people that fell a lot because of these
it.
reaches, or people that just fell in general because reasons that nobody really wanted them, which is, I don't know why people wouldn't. It was a weird draft, but it's interesting. So Colts took advantage of that, and I believe they traded. Did they trade in during the draft?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
Right. Yeah. And Jordan mentioned that they took advantage of players that were available. Ben Vonnegut, a guy that was drafted in the second round, not so much of one of those guys that was really sought after, but they liked this guy a lot, and he's actually been producing pretty well for them. I mean, his rookie year, I mean, he's been doing well. I just think that teams, that this team particularly is so good at finding people, and it may seem like, who is this guy at the time, but then they end up performing really well. We saw that with Darius Leonard last year. This guy, and also a linebacker, could be very similar to him. I don't want to compare them just yet, but all right. Now I'm going to go on to their next round 2 pick.
Oh boy.
Which is Paris Campbell. If you did not, this is also a guy that he really fell in the draft class. I did not think he was going to go here. A lot of people had a first round grade on this guy.
You had a top 5 pick grade on him, didn't you?
Let's not go that far, but I love Paris Campbell in the offseason. I still do. I know he's not doing so much right now, but he's making an impact, a small impact, but it's definitely still there. Coming out of Ohio State, this guy was the fastest guy out of this draft class. He had the fastest 40-yard dash time, one of the fastest all time.
Yeah.
So that by itself is just very impressive, and I think that's going to translate to the NFL really well in the future.
Yeah, and I feel like he's a guy he's battled some injuries, because I remember when I saw the Texans play the Colts in Indianapolis, he was out. But I really think it's interesting because obviously the Colts' #1 receiver is T.Y. Hilton, but he's been battling a lot of injuries, and they really don't have anyone that's quite even close to a wide receiver #1. They have Eric Ebron, a tight end who they like to use as a wide receiver a lot. He's very athletic for a tight end. I will give him that. I saw it in person. But really, I just think that the Colts, T.Y. Hilton, he's battling a lot of injuries. He's done great things for them. He's really a big reason why their offense, when their offense is good, it's usually because he has a big game. But so I'm just eager to see as T.Y. Hilton gets older and as this team continues to change, as we start to see what the Jacoby Brissett era will truly look like, because obviously the Colts didn't really have much time to shape their team around Brissett with just short notice. So I just think that's something to watch for how they develop Paris Campbell.
All right, and then I'm just going to go through the last 2 that I want to mention really quickly. The next 2 picks, their first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks were really, really impressive. I thought for the spots where they got them in the draft. And that last 2 that I want to talk about are Bobby Okereke coming out of Stanford. Gotta love that, right?
Yeah.
And another linebacker. They drafted 3 linebackers in this draft. I think that's a position that they really value.
Yes.
Even with having Darius Leonard, they want that
Which,
second
by the
guy.
way, you should easily say how last year Darius Leonard, he was a deeper guy in the draft, and they took him deep, and they got a really good value pick out of him.
Exactly. And I think both Ben Bonnigu and Bobby Okereke can be guys that are similar to that.
Mm.
The last guy, similar, not the same.
Don't push it.
I think now the last one I want to talk about is Kari Willis, coming out of Michigan State. They went safety here. They needed safety. They've had safety struggles for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think over time, once again, you're not going to see rookies produce their first season all the time, and that's what I feel like we're seeing. We're seeing an impact on this Colts team, but it's not like what you'll see with other teams where you'll have those first-round picks or like later picks that just stand out. These guys will come out later in their careers, and I think Kari Willis will be another one of those guys. So we'll move on.
All right, so the Colts, they certainly did have a really good draft last year, and they managed that draft very well. Another team that's kind of been doing that quietly is the Buffalo Bills, and people always look at the Bills. They've had some good teams, just they haven't quite gotten over the hump. Sure, they made the playoffs that one time, but they weren't truly. I mean, they were a playoff caliber team, but they weren't truly a true contender. They were a one and done, although that wasn't an interception. But anywho, we have to move on.
Not getting into that.
It wasn't though. Anywho, they had the 9th pick, and there were a number of routes they can go. Obviously, the top defensive guys were gone. Nick Bosa was gone. Josh Allen was gone. Guys like that. So they took Ed Oliver, and while, at first I was kind of not a fan of this pick because the Bills, I feel like they already had a top defense in the league, and I thought it was the offense that they needed to emphasize, building around Josh Allen. But there wasn't really a receiver that I think was like someone you'd feel comfortable taking this high. So I think Ed Oliver is a big addition for them. I think it was a great pick. Reflecting on it, because sometimes I have knee-jerk reactions to draft picks, but then you go watch the tape, you read articles, you see the rationale, and you say, you know what, maybe that was the right thing. A guy I thought they could consider at number 9 was Jonah Williams, but we really can't evaluate him yet because he hasn't played due to the injury. But
Kind of lucky the Bengals team's not doing very hot right now.
Yeah, but I mean they don't have to worry about drafting a left tackle in this draft.
Yep.
Joe Burrow will be protected. It's fine. But anywho, look at Ed Oliver, good player. Really good at penetrating into the backfield. He wasn't really a guy I watched a lot of film on until the later parts of the pre-draft process, but he really caught my eye. Good pick there. Then Cody Ford in the 2nd round.
Well, can I talk about Ed Oliver?
Yeah, you liked him from the get-go.
I did. I really like Ed Oliver, and I think that he was definitely one of the biggest steals of the draft at that time, and I think he still is now.
It was one of our first videos, I think.
It was. It really was.
Take a lot of scrolling, but you could find him saying that.
Yeah, I did say that.
Yeah.
I think that
Don't worry about what I said.
It's once again, it's not a huge impact. This is not a guy that you're hearing the names of like a guy like Nick Bosa is right now, but he's actually making a very, very good impact on this team. Just what we expected coming out of the draft. Every time I talk about Ed Oliver, I just kind of get stunned because coming out of Houston is not a school that you expect a guy to be this good. Mm-hmm. And then here he is coming in the NFL. Give it time, guys. Give it time, and you'll know Ed Oliver's name.
And even at that
I can almost guarantee it.
At that defensive tackle position where Ed Oliver plays, I mean, Aaron Donald has completely remade the position so far. And as a defensive tackle, you're not usually going to get that much hype around you. It's usually the ends who are usually getting in for the sacks. It's the things that the defensive tackles do. They're very unselfish players. Excuse me. They're very unselfish players, just like nose tackles are. It's like they're going to get sacks, but they draw a lot of the attention. So Ed Oliver, like you said, he might not. I mean, he might not like be a household name like maybe Aaron Donald is, but who knows? He's a great player. We'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, and then great points about Ed Oliver. And then I'll look at their mid-round picks. Cody Ford, I thought was a steal. I thought the offensive line after Jonah Williams were drafted really, really out of order. So I think Cody Ford was a good pick for them early 2nd round. Josh Allen's a good quarterback. He needs protection, and he needs weapons around him. So good pick there. Devin Singletary, good depth pick in the 3rd round. Did the Bills still have LaShawn McCoy at the time of the draft? I think they did.
And then I think what happened is they saw how good this guy was, and they said, we don't need him.
And they thought LaShawn McCoy was past his prime, which he's still getting stuff done, but he is.
Like LaShawn.
Yeah.
Oh, every time.
Yeah. And then tight end Dawson Knox, he's actually doing
pretty good.
Yeah, he's doing some nice things, and I think it's really interesting how he mentioned the Bills. We expected them to have a more offensive outlook coming into the draft in the offseason. I think Ed Oliver was the best player available pick, but I think some of these mid-round picks, like the 3 we just talked about, are needs pick because Josh Allen, I think he's a good quarterback. I think he could develop into a solid starter in the NFL, and I think he already is. I think he's going to continue to develop. The arm strength is there. He just needs to put up more points, so he needs offensive weapons. And then looking at some of their later round picks, Voshon Joseph out of Florida, I think that's a good pick, good linebacker. Obviously, you get to these later rounds, you think of more depth.
Yeah.
And then they ended the draft with Jaquan Johnson and Daryl Johnson, both named Johnson. That's kind of funny. Jaquan Johnson, I'm actually a little familiar with him. I had actually a 3rd or 4th round grade on him, so good depth pick there.
All right, and then
both named Johnson.
that's just their last name.
Okay.
Hold on, I just want to mention the rest of the Colts players that I didn't talk about. Marvel Telley, Jay Speed, Gary Green, Jackson Barton, and Javon Patterson. We did not forget about you guys. And one more thing I want to talk about with the Bills is Voshon Joseph. I think it's Voshon.
Yeah.
But I had a high grade on this guy. I did. I thought he was one of the best linebackers coming out of this draft.
Yeah.
And I was watching the draft, and I was in the 5th round, and I saw his name pop up, and I was so surprised that he was not picked earlier. So.
Just one more thing the Bills got to do this offseason. You got to get a receiver.
Yeah.
Although John Brown has been playing well.
Yeah.
And same with Cole Beasley. They've been doing pretty good too. But they need to get that real true number 1 guy because John Brown, although he's been a deep threat a lot in the past, he's become an all-around receiver now. So Smokey, as they call him, good job.
Yeah. They're going to have options.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next team, and probably the most obvious team I will be taking, and that is the Oakland Raiders. We'll just try to go through this quickly, although there's so many good players that it might be hard to go. Yeah, we have to mention Mike Mayock, who came to this team this year, and him and Gruden and the rest of the staff. And I have a feeling it's probably them two have a lot of the huge decision.
Oh, yeah.
They came up with this really big, good draft class. So I believe they had the 4th pick, was it?
Yeah.
4th pick, and they clicked who else, but I don't know how it's. I thought it was Cleveland, but I was watching a game,
Yeah.
and they were saying it differently. But I'm just gonna say Cleveland Farrell, and that was somewhat of a reach. People might think he's a great player, but they didn't know what he was gonna do. And that was like
He's
big
done
reach.
stuff.
He's done stuff. He hasn't done like
4th overall stuff.
Yeah. But they made up for the later ones. Next pick, Josh Jacobs, and what Josh Jacobs has been doing. Also 1st round, they got 3 first-rounders. I'll give you the next one in a second. But Josh Jacobs has been doing very, very good. I believe it was his first 10 games as a Raider. He had the most yards for running back out of Raiders history. So congratulations to him. At this moment where I'm saying this, he's got 923 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's a great running back. He's a rookie, like I said, and he has a really bright future and really good player. And honestly, with all these people that are on the Raiders team, they're going to have a bright future in general. But Josh Jacobs, he's been putting on a show, and that is, he's got a great background behind him. So if you want to go look up that story, you can.
Rookie of the Year candidate.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, I would probably say he's probably one.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
Next one is Jonathan Abram, and he was doing good, but then he did get hurt, so that is kind of disappointing since he has not been able to play. But he was playing good, and he's going to be a great player, so that's going to help them a lot in the future. I know he's not there now. He will be, and that will really help, especially because they don't have any stud at the safety position, so they could really use him. Next one. Those were all first-round picks, by the way. And they got, 2 now in this one?
Yeah.
No, 3. They got theirs. They got the other. Yeah, they had the Cowboys, right?
I
Did
think
they
they
get
just
up
had
two?
they just had the one.
They just had the one.
Never.
Well, either way. Next one, Trayvon Mullen. He's been doing. I really don't know too much about Mullen, but he was a cornerback who people might say would slip into the first round. He did not, but
That kind of shocks me that I forgot about Trayvon Mullen because there's so many guys that, especially rookies on the Raiders team, that have been doing good. And Trayvon Mullen has not been one that has come to my mind really.
yeah. Let's see here. Trayvon Mullen has 25 sacks, and I can't tell what stat this is because I'm not at the top.
Wait, could you say that one again?
I can't. 25 tackles.
Okay. Okay. I think we would know who he is if he had 25 sacks.
Yeah.
Well, okay. But I don't know too much about him, but he's a great player, some nice value. Next one is some really good value, and I like the. Well, first of all, I was going to say this before, but I forgot to.
How many more are there?
Like 5.
Okay.
They had really
Go
good
through
class.
quickly because we got a lot of players.
Okay,
on
you
there.
guys took long. Oh, I can take my time. Okay, thank you. As Peter Schrager puts it, it might be the greatest draft class that we've seen in the last 10 years. Thanks, Peter.
I agree.
Rush yards, 1 for this is by rookies by the way. Rush yards 1, Josh Jacobs. Receptions 1st. Scrimmage yards 1st. Scrimmage touchdowns 1st, and sacks first. So, a lot of ones, and that's something you always want to see. Shoot, I was going to pull up Max Crosby's stats from last week, but he got a decent amount of sacks in that game. He
Won
put on the
Defensive
show.
Player of the Week.
Yeah. Did
Defensive
he get
player
4
of
sacks?
AFC.
I don't know, but he did good.
I think he did get
I don't think it was
4
quite
sacks.
25, but I think,
It
I think
wasn't
he did get a lot.
25.
Yeah, it was,
He's no
it was
Trayvon
very
Mullen.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Max Crosby, I said that word. Crosby, a later round guy, but he is going to turn into some huge value for the Raiders. We go on to guys like Isaiah Johnson. I don't know too much about him, the quarterback of Houston, but I'm sure he's been doing okay. And then Foster Moreau, a tight end. They already have Darren Waller, but Foster Moreau has been getting some receptions in there. He's doing pretty well. They got a pretty 1-2 attack there at the tight end position, so that's a pick that they could use a lot. And we go to next pick, Hunter Renfrow at 5. He has been doing a lot. He's stepped up as, possibly, besides Tyrell Williams, he's the guy right next to him. Hunter Renfrow is the guy that Derek Carr can trust as the number 1 receiver on that team. So Hunter Renfrow, great value, 5 from Clemson, 5th round from Clemson is what I meant to say. So they got a lot of value out of him. And then Quentin Bell, they got in the 7th round. I don't know too much about him, but he's defensive end out of Prairie View A&M. So a pretty good draft class overall.
Pretty good.
That's
Yeah,
very
Very
good.
good.
Very good. And then last year, I'll just go to that. They picked Colton Miller with their first pick, and a lot of people saw that as a reach, but he's doing okay. So
Yeah.
we'll see what they
Bounce
can do in
back
the
here a
future.
little
But with Mike Mayock, who was like one of the main mock draft person, the guy who's always like
He's the main draft
analyzing,
guy in general.
the draft, and they got him on their team, and they got John Gruden, a great mind. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another one of these great classes coming up in the future,
Yeah.
especially with the picks that they're mounting for first round.
And just one quick thing I want to say: the Raiders love guys from big schools, big football schools. Guys like they drafted 4 players that played in that national championship game last year. They just love guys from big schools. They drafted people out of LSU,
Hunter
Alabama,
Renfrow,
Clemson. Yeah,
Trayvon Mullen,
Renfrow.
Josh
yeah.
Jacobs, and Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah, and Renfrow, I remember a couple years ago, had a game-winning catch in the national championship. So they just love those guys from big schools.
So, I think that the Raiders team is such a young team that's going to be exciting to see what happens with them. They still have so much ahead of them because these guys are not aged. It's so interesting to see what's going to happen in the future for that organization. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like.
Yeah.
Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to comment. And what else do we got to do?
Subscribe.
Comment, like.
Hit the notification bell. Did I say? I said subscribe first.
Yeah,
Oh, you
ding
did?
that bell.
Yes, hit
Ding
the bell.
that bell.
But I think
And
it's
click
fair,
OK, 'cause
it's fair to
like
mention
some
subscribe
notifications.
twice because
Okay.
it's that important. Subscribe and comment.
No,
Those are
don't
more
click it
to
twice.
And like.
You don't
Do them
subscribe.
all. All right. Thank you guys for
You can get
watching.
any odd number
We-
of times,
Yeah.
please.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.